You're not lazy, you're overwhelmed. Let me talk to you for a moment. Not in a motivational way, not to push you, not to fix you, just to explain something that most people never explain clearly. If you've been calling yourself lazy, if you've been wondering why simple things feel so hard lately, I want you to pause and listen to this carefully. Because what you're experiencing is not what you think it is. You don't wake up wanting to avoid your life. You don't ignore things because you don't care. It's in fact the things you avoid are usually the ones that matter most to you. And that's the confusing part. If you were truly lazy, you wouldn't feel guilty. You wouldn't think about what you should be doing. You wouldn't carry this quiet pressure around all day, but you do, which already tells us something important. What you're feeling isn't laziness. It's overwhelm. And overwhelm doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels quiet, heavy. It feels like sitting down to start something and suddenly feeling tired, like opening your phone instead of beginning, like telling yourself, I'll do it later, even though you know later will be worse. That's not a lack of discipline. That's your nervous system pulling the brakes. Here's what's actually happening in your mind. When you feel constantly behind on work, behind in life, behind your own expectations, your brain shifts into protection mode. It stops asking, what should we do next? It starts asking, what can we avoid right now? Not because avoidance is good, but because it reduces pressure, and your brain is always trying to reduce pressure. This is important, so hear it clearly. Your brain is not designed to make you productive. It's designed to keep you safe, and to your nervous system, constant. Pressure feels like danger. So instead of giving you more energy, it gives you less. Motivation drops. Focus narrows. Starting feels heavy, not because you're broken, but because your mind is overloaded. This is why advice like, just push through, doesn't work for you. Pushing harder only tells your brain one thing. That thing is dangerous. So it resists even more. You feel this resistance as procrastination, as scrolling, as avoidance. It's doing everything except the thing you care about, and then you judge yourself for it. Let's talk about that judgment. When you call yourself lazy, you're not motivating yourself. You're adding pressure. Pressure increases overwhelm. Overwhelm increases avoidance. That's the loop you've been stuck in, not because you're weak, but because the system is stacked against clarity. You might have noticed something else. Rest doesn't really fix this. You can sleep, you can take days off, you can try to relax, and still feel mentally tired. That's because this isn't physical exhaustion. It's cognitive and emotional overload. Your mind is carrying unfinished tasks, unanswered messages, unmet expectations, self-criticism. Sleep doesn't erase those. And then there's comparison. You look at people who seem focused, it's consistent, disciplined, and without realizing it, your brain turns that into, something's wrong with me. Thought alone is enough to increase shutdown.com minds initiate. Overwhelmed minds hesitate. That's not a personality trait. It's a nervous system state. So what actually helps? Not motivation, not pressure, not forcing yourself to become someone else. What helps is reducing the sense of being behind, making tasks emotionally smaller, closing open loops, creating moments where your brain feels control again, signals that tell your nervous system, we're safe enough to move. Here's what I want you to understand. The moment you stop fighting yourself, the moment you stop using shame as fuel, something shifts, resistance softens, clarity begins to return, not all at once, but enough. If this feels accurate, if it feels like I'm describing your inner experience, that's not because you're failing, it's because your mind has. It's been doing its best to protect you in a world that rarely slows down. And once you understand that, you can stop calling yourself lazy, because you were never lazy, you were overwhelmed. And understanding that is where real change actually starts. Asterisk, asterisk, now. I want to be very clear about something. Understanding this doesn't instantly fix everything. It doesn't suddenly give you energy. It doesn't magically make things easy. But it changes where you start. And that matters more than most people realize. Because if the problem was laziness, the solution would be forcing yourself, pushing harder, being stricter, trying to discipline your way forward. But if the problem is overwhelm, then forcing yourself is actually the worst thing you can do. Because pressure is what created the shutdown in the first place. Overwhelmed minds don't respond to motivation. They respond to relief. They respond to a reduction in pressure, to a feeling of safety, to the sense that nothing bad will happen if they move slowly. That's when clarity begins to return, not before, right now. Your job is not to fix your entire life. It's not to catch up on everything. It's not to become productive again. Not to suddenly be confident or consistent. Your only job is much smaller than that. It's to help your mind feel just a little safer than it does right now. Safe enough to think. Safe enough to choose. Safe enough to begin without panic or resistance. Because once the nervous system calms, action stops feeling threatening. And when action doesn't feel threatening, you don't need to force it. This is why advice that sounds logical often doesn't work when you're overwhelmed. Because logic doesn't calm the nervous system. Understanding does. Relief does. Progress, real progress, doesn't come from pushing through resistance. It comes from lowering the weight you've been carrying, closing mental loops, reducing internal pressure, letting go of the belief that you're already behind. And I want you to hear this carefully. Moving slowly from a calm place is faster than rushing from a stressed one always. If this video helped you understand yourself even a little better, then something important has already shifted. You've stopped fighting the wrong problem, and that's where real change begins.